Good morning, this is Charlie coming from the garden. Nice morning out here. I'd like to talk about one of my gardening philosophies or techniques that I'm using out here in the garden. Everything that I do is called high intensity. I'm trying to shove as much food in a little space as possible. And trying to figure out where that threshold is important. Like on the carrots here, as you see, they came up real good. I put them on 12-inch centers and 12-inch rows, and then had I just spaced them out, half-inch, tried to. But with the rain, because you got to put them so shallow, with the rain, it kind of pushed the seeds around wherever it wanted to. And there's patches of no carrots, but there's other places where the carrots are on top of each other, and they are great. If you look in here, they are about ready to harvest. And let's get a good carrot here. Yeah, one right here looks great. Oh, well, that one broke off at the root, but it kind of rotted. Need to get them out today. That's not a very good one. Let's try a different one. Oh, that's a good one. There. See, this high intensity stuff works for the carrots pretty well. I like it. And it works good. And I've not weeded this bed at all. And as you can tell, this is the only spot it's got a lot of weeds. And that's because there was no carrots to drown them out, because that's where the seeds moved. Then we'll go over here to the green beans. These green beans I put on 12-inch centers on rows, and then every 3 inches there's a seed. As you can tell, the germination rate was great. The one great thing about the high intensity gardening is it's a lot less weeding, because the vegetables block out the sun, so the weeds can't grow. Pretty good idea. Then over here, the cucumbers. There's 4 mounds in this deal, and I put 5 seeds in each mound. And as you can tell, real thick, growing really good. And once these here get up a little bit, that will drown out the weeds and less weed pressure. Then over here, zucchinis. I got 2 to 3 plants on 2 mounds here. Shoved them all in. I use 10 by 10 by 10 fertilizer, and boy are they working good. Oh, you got to space your plants out. Well, we're seeing if we don't really have to. Hopefully it produces, but so far so good. Really like that. High intensity is the way to go. And then over here, lettuces. So I space my lettuces about a foot apart, and then on rows. And once they get a little bigger, they're gonna push each other out, and it's gonna be really good. I love high intensity gardening for lettuces especially. Basil and cilantro, same way. Zucchinis, as you see, these are awesome. And when I do my peppers, so this year I planted them 18 inches apart. I'm thinking about next year moving them to 12 inches apart. Leave a comment below if you think I should move them to 12 inches. I really like them touching. Really, really good. If you can tell, the production on these are excellent. On the jalapenos, tons. On my bell peppers, just every plant got peppers. Just awesome. And then my tomatoes. Tomatoes 2 feet apart. And they are doing phenomenal. Just check out the tomatoes and the aromas. All good. All good. Really like how that is turning out. But and you know, I use the cages. The cages do a really good job for me. These are determinants, so they work well in the cages. But man, just check out how many tomatoes I got on those. That's just amazing. And then here I get into my early growth. These are indeterminate tomatoes. They do not have as many tomatoes on them for the most part. But got a lot of flowers, so that's good. Check that out down there. I got a couple plants that I'm single stemming. As you can tell, not too bad. Single stemming is something I'll talk about later in another video. And here's the better boys. Really good. We got a couple plants that don't have any tomatoes on it, which is odd. Really odd. But that'll be alright. And then like radishes, I just put them 1/2 inch apart. Just spread the seed out. There you go. And here I planted corn. Corn I planted every 4 inches and then on 2-foot centers. It says 3. I went 2. This is a little trial and error thing to see how close I need them, but I want some corn, so I didn't go too tight. We'll see if this works. But like my potatoes, that's where the potatoes were, and like my potatoes, I planted this whole row was potatoes, and I just harvested where the dirt is, and I got about 8 pounds of potatoes for every pound of seed that I planted. And what I did was I planted them on basically 12 inches. 12-inch rows, and every 12 inches there's a potato in the row. And they just did amazing. That's pretty good. I'd like to get 10 pounds per pound, but you do what you do. Then we will come around to something that did not work out very well. The last thing in the high intensity garden. Alright, so I tried high intensity with my onions. Well, I went 4 inches on center on everything. And they just did not, there's just not enough space. As you can tell, the weight of the leaves just knocked everything over before they were even ready. Some of them didn't even bulb, so let's go with this guy. You know, all mushy. You know, we're gonna call this a fail. But so next year, 4 inches is just too close together. You know, we do got some good ones, but all my good ones are on the outside. You know, so lesson learned, I reckon. Garlic's the same way. It's not gonna bulb because I put them too close together on 4-inch centers. Lesson learned. But that's the video for today.